back for another update. It's going to be a quick update here on the Pulse chain ecosystem. We're going to look at all the coins over here and I will tell you exactly where we're going to go. Now, this is the PulseX chart that I shared to my Discord members. We called the top on the day, currently down a little bit over 25%, 30%. So this is the PulseX roadmap. Okay. I was originally just going to keep this for my Discord members, but I know a lot of people in the Pulse chain community have been waiting a long time for this coin to actually do something. So I thought that it would be best if I keep you guys informed, right? Now, if I'm not always able to update on YouTube, so if you want a little bit more of a personal experience and you want daily updates, then definitely click the link in the description below to join the Discord, because things change in the market and I'm unable to update right away on YouTube, right? My last update on the Pulse chain ecosystem, I was saying warning, right? There is warning signs on the chart and all the moon boys were going against me, and now we're down a little bit over 35% across the board on the RH ecosystem. So let's dive into this here. PulseX here on the daily time frame. Nothing has really changed dramatically since the last analysis, right? We have your A, B, C down from the airdrop, right? So this was your airdrop. You had your peak, and then you had your ABC down for your A wave. Then you come up for an ABC for your B wave. Then we come down and have 5-wave move for your C wave. Now, originally, we thought that this is your wave 1, your wave 2, your 3, your ABC for your 4, and then your 5 hitting the 786, and then we blast off from there. But we blasted off here from the 786, but Bitcoin was already at the highs, and Bitcoin was in distribution. So because of the way it moved up, while taking into account where Bitcoin was at the time, it was giving me warning signs. And I saw that it just went to trendline resistance and towards the 50% fib. So if you take a fib from this high over here down to this low, you see how we rejected at the 50% and at this trendline resistance? Okay. Now, because of the waves, because the way the waves are overlapping, because this went up and Bitcoin was already at the highs distributing, it gave me the sign that this was just a corrective wave and not an impulsive one. And if anything, we should be very happy that the market is allowing us one more chance to buy, right? It's good that the accumulation is lasting this long so we can have more of an explosive run up in 2025, right? If it were to just take off right now, right? If it were to just take off right now, I feel like the gains would be less, right? But the fact that it's adhered to this accumulation range over here for so long shows me that there's still interest in the coin. There's still interest in the ecosystem, right? This does look like Wyckoff accumulation. The only thing is that this accumulation is taking a little bit longer than what most expect. And that's a good thing, right? A lot of people will leave the market and a lot of people will enter into the market. It's all a redistribution, right? Notice how we're not going down very rapidly, right? We're kind of just rounding off, right? We're just rounding off, right? And this over here, so we came down for wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and for your wave 4, we form a broadening bottom pattern. Okay, so this is an example of a broadening bottom pattern over here, right? This is an example of a broadening bottom pattern. You guys see this? And it's called broadening bottom for a reason. It means we're at the bottom. And the 5th wave, would likely be the inflection point. So this over here would be your selling climax. So all I did to find these supports is I just took a fib from this low here at the bottom of September up to this high. And you see how we bounce hard off the 786? We call the bottom to the day. We call the bottom on the day to a T. Price rallied by over 110%. And then in the Discord, we said that was the top. Okay. So definitely click the link in the description below if you haven't joined. We bounced off the 786 here, but then we just rejected at the 50. So I do think there is a possibility we come down for the last touch point in the broadening in this broadening bottom pattern, right? This would take us into 2025, and we could just shoot up like this from here. It could definitely do that, but we must compensate for the possibility that it accumulates at the lows, right? So we come down here for your selling climax, you then come up for an automatic rally, your secondary test, your fail break, your secondary test in phase B, your fail break number 2, your creek, and then your spring, and then we blast off from there. Or you could just blast off from your ST in phase B from over here. This is just Wyckofian terminology. Okay, so nothing has changed dramatically with PulseX. Still very bullish. The fact that it stayed within this range over here is a very good sign. If it was a shitcoin, it would look like we would just have something like this, right? You have your A down. You come up like this, and then you would go like this, right? But we didn't see that. We saw it rounding. And we see very interesting patterns over here, right? This is a broadening bottom pattern. And I can actually show you a real world example of a broadening bottom pattern. We actually took this trade in the Discord about a year ago. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look at Mina right over here on the daily. You see that broadening bottom? Just like this. We took this trade over here. About a year ago in the Discord. So yeah, this is PulseX. I think it's doing a broadening bottom pattern. Now, the bottom target would be at 401174 at the 88.6% fib. Now the bullish scenario would be that this is your wave 1, you come down for a wave 2 to any of these green fibs, likely towards the 702786 at this structural support. Notice how we use this support many times in the past, right? Within this range. So it's likely we come back towards the structural support, 70.2 to 78.6% of the way down. And then if we start to see an impulsive move up from there, then we could say, oh, okay, this is your wave 1, this is your wave 2, and then we're going up for a wave 3, and so forth. However, if it starts to form like this and the waves start to overlap and look corrective, then it's likely that's just a counter trend before we come down for your last leg in the broadening bottom pattern, and then have your accumulation structure from there off the lows, and then we have expansion. Okay. Now, this analysis is subject to change, of course, because a lot of things happen in the market every day. So if you want to stay updated, then definitely click the link in the description below. Let's take a look at PLS over here. Now, looking at PLS, now in crypto, what you're going to have is you're going to have patterns form throughout a trend, and then you're going to see deviations of those patterns. Like, for example, if we look here, we see a bullish descending broadening wedge, right? Then you have your deviation, but then it just gets sold off, right? So this was your deviation. So this looked like a wave 4 bull trap before we come down for a wave 5 to meet these range lows since the airdrop at, I believe it's 4027, 67, around there. And same structure as PulseX. 335 Elliott wave flat pattern within a Wyckoff accumulation range, which we've been accumulating so far, which we've been accumulating since May 2023. Right, so this is your 3 down in your A, this is your 3 up in your B, and then you have a 5 wave move down like this. And then we just chop around here at the range lows. You'd want to look for a bullish divergence here on the daily RSI and like the 12-hour RSI. Look for bearish divergence here as we come down to these lows, and then we'll pop off from there. Now we actually called a PLS top on the day in the Discord, and we're down a little bit over 35%. So let's take a look at incentive token. Now incentive token, I believe, is down a little bit over 40% since we called the top in the Discord. Let's go ahead and take a look at incentive, right? We have a 5 wave move up, and then we have an A, B, C down, right? This is your 5 down. And then, like I said with PLS, right? This is your bullish descending broadening wedge. Then we had the deviation, and then the breakout got rejected at this horizontal resistance. Then we popped back into the range, right? So in crypto or in highly over leveraged markets, you're going to see, you're going to see patterns, and then you're going to see deviations, right? This is your pattern, for example. This is your deviation. And when the price comes back into the pattern and starts trading within it, then it's likely going to go ahead and meet the lows, right? And then we can confirm that's a valid deviation. So this is a valid deviation because the price went back into the broadening wedge and is now trading within it. If we zoom in a little bit closer, we do see a 5 wave move down followed by a 3 wave corrective structure, right? And we see that across all the coins in the ecosystem. You see how you have 5 waves down here, right? Just like that. And then you have your A, B, C, and then you start your next 5 down. So it looks like every advance is being sold off. And a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people in the Pulse Chain community, they're getting upset at me because I flipped bearish all of a sudden. I mean, that's understandable, but at the same time, charts don't stay the same. Remember that. If charts stayed the same, I wouldn't have to update you guys, right? And I wouldn't even have to make any YouTube videos, right? But things develop in the chart, and the fact that we had this move up and Bitcoin was already at the highs distributing showed me everything I needed to know, right? When we take a look at pHEX or pHEX, for example, I'll get to that in a second. We see that it rallied up towards the 702.786, and the 702.786 is the usual target that you see before a major sell-off. I like to call it the exit pump target, and we did just that. I'll show you guys that in a bit. So all I did to find these supports is I just took a fib from the very low over here in December 2023 up to the high. You see how we had a nice bounce off the 618, had a rally and deviation above the broadening wedge, and now we're coming back down to meet these lows. Okay, so it's likely we'll come down towards the 702.786 at $1.06 to 81 cent. Form an accumulation range, a little bit of a Wyckoff accumulation range before we have that full breakout above $10.50. Let's go ahead and take a look at Hex. Now Hex is down, this is pHEX. Hex is down over 50% since we called the top in the Discord. Moon Boys were, getting extremely excited over here, calling me crazy, but we call the top. We call the top, and it's down by over 50%. Okay, so this is pHEX over here. Rallied up towards the 702.786, forming a head and shoulders, just broke below the neckline, had a little bit of a back test, and now we're having continuation down. Let's go ahead and take a look at the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we have Wyckoff accumulation, right? The fact that we stayed within this range goes to show us that there's still interest within the coin. If it was a shit coin, it would have a 5-wave move down very fast within the cycle. But we stayed within this range. And remember one thing. When you hear that big players are accumulating, it doesn't necessarily mean that the price is ready to go right away, right? Big players are smart as well. So big players are accumulating at the deviation points, right? Or manipulation levels. They're accumulating at the pivot points and then selling into the advance to buy back their coins at a discount. Okay? So just because big players are accumulating doesn't necessarily mean that the price is ready to go right away. They're buying into the pivots and then selling into the advances to accumulate lower. Okay, so now I do expect pHEX to come down to a little bit under, let me see here, a little bit 0.006 to 0.005. So around this region, and then if we come down to these range lows over here, you'd want to look for a bullish divergence on the RSI. So if we come down over here, start to look for bullish divergence here, like around here. And then wait for it to bottom out, put some bids down here, and then wait for the expansion. I'll try to keep you guys updated from there, but most of the updates will be in the Discord. Let's go ahead and take a look at eHEX. Now eHEX is down by over 45% since we called the top in the Discord, right? We saw a 5-wave move here followed by an ending diagonal within the 5th wave. Price is now down by over 45%. Okay, now it looks like we're coming down for a wave 2 here. This C wave would likely take us towards the 702, 786. Now there is a possibility that so if Hex goes below the 786 here, then it's likely this was an ABC and then we're going to come down towards this region right here. Okay. Now I have way more analysis on Hex and the rest of the ecosystem, but I don't want to share it on YouTube. So I will definitely post it in the Discord. So if you want to stay updated and you want to take a look at that analysis, click the link in the description below so you can stay updated with the rest of the Richard Heart ecosystem. Peace out and take it easy. Hope you guys enjoyed.